Leeds United, the 1992 English League champions. Their title, the last under the Football League. How will they prosper in the new order of the FA Premier League? There's been no championship trophy to parade at Old Trafford for 25 years. That's a heavy burden for Alex Ferguson to bear. Can United achieve their title dream this time around? As well as last season's champions and runners-up, there are plenty of other challenges too for the first ever Premier League crown. Over the next hour or so, we have a comprehensive guide to all 22 history-making clubs. In June last year, the Football Association announced their plans for the future of English football. The vision was to form a Premier League which would encompass all that's best about English football. Just over a year later, their idea is about to bear fruit. Lots to look forward to then for the first ever Premier League. And if it's anything like the climax to last season, well, we won't be disappointed.
Captain Gale has come forward to stand right in front of John Lukic. Dean on the near post. And Cork far post as well. The ball just touched away. A real scramble in there with Strachan. And finally Cork! Alan Cork has given Sheffield United the lead. 28 minutes gone. This could be Leeds' last opportunity to get an equaliser before the second half. They've got a free kick. Foul by Beasley on Chapman. Strachan takes it quickly towards Wallace. Was he brought down by the goalkeeper? It might not matter anyway. Speed. Wallace. It could be the most unusual goal of the season. It could be one of the most important. And he has delivered it well, and the keeper's missed it. And they're in front. And it's John Newsom who arrived on the far post to score the most important goal of the season so far for Leeds United. It's a good corner as well. And Pendleton takes it and it's gone in. It's an equalising goal. Cleared by Speed. Held up in the wind for Chapman. He finds Cantona. Wallace going through quickly. It's lifted back towards Cantona. And Gale didn't really know what he was doing. It's gone in. It's another bizarre goal. And another vital goal for Leeds United. And poor O'Brien Gale and his goalkeeper got it horribly wrong. And Leeds United celebrate their third goal. They're back in front again.
Michael Thomas. To Jan Mulvey, to John Barnes, a little thick and a good one, to Rush, has scored!
It had been 18 years since Leeds last won the title, and they really let the rest of the league know about it. The championship then in only their second year back in the top flight. But what prospects then for the champions for the season ahead? Not surprisingly, Howard Wilkinson was named Manager of the Year last season. His 3 years at Elland Road have produced promotion from the second division, a fourth place and a championship. Howard Wilkinson evokes memories of the great Leeds side of the late 60s and early 70s under Don Revie. Perhaps more honours to add to theirs are on their way. Arsenal's David Rocastle has arrived to strengthen Leeds' chances of retaining the title. Rocastle already has a championship medal and should improve on the quantity of goals from midfield.
Rocastle, a central figure again, and he looks to trick Schmeichel, and it's in! A goal for Arsenal. David Rocastle via the bar, and I think the back of the Manchester United goalkeeper.
The new face in the lead side made the perfect start on his first appearance, this in a pre-season tournament at Ellen Road, featuring Stuttgart, Sampdoria and Nottingham Forest. Rocastle here scoring the winner in a 2-1 victory over Stuttgart. Leeds eventually lost in the final for Sampdoria, but can take heart from Rocastle's performance. Also adding further strength to the midfield is Scott Sellers, back at Ellen Road for a second spell. All this to counter the possible loss of Gordon Strachan, who's struggling to be fully fit for the start of the season. The champions will also again look to Lee Chapman to supply the majority of the goals. 16 in the league last year for Chapman, some of them memorable.
Still time for a final flourish, perhaps, from Leeds United. Sterling, Chapman in a good position on the far post. There he is! And there is the final flourish! Dorigo. That's good running and a fine ball. Speed. First time towards Chapman. Oh, a magnificent goal by Lee Chapman!
Chapman has suffered for the cause in recent seasons. Against Spurs last year, this tumble onto the cinder track at White Hart Lane resulted in some fairly nasty facial wounds. Chapman blooded and out for some time. And then last season, a broken wrist kept him on the sidelines when Leeds were going through a barren patch. They hope it won't be third time lucky, or is that unlucky? Chapman's absence left the way open, though, for a new hero at Ellen Road, Eric Cantona. Cantona, the enfant terrible of French football, was an instant hit with the Leeds faithful. This will be his first full season on the English scene, and I'm sure there's much more to come from a player who can be so frustrating. But also so inspirational. For Leeds, though, the success of last season will be a hard act to follow. This goal from Ken Brown of West Ham severely dented Manchester United's championship challenge last season. They were still strong contenders, though, until that disastrous Sunday at Liverpool. United beaten 1-0, their title dreams in tatters. But on that day in April, they could point to some really bad luck. For Alex Ferguson, he must try again. He's had only cup success in his 6 seasons at Old Trafford. The prize he and everyone there really wants is the league title. One success has been the development of young stars, such as 18-year-old Ryan Giggs. Already a full Welsh international, Giggs is regarded with plenty of supporting evidence as the new George Best.
It's McClare who takes them on this time. Kanchelskis coming infield and leaving room for McClare to go on. Oh, and it's Giggs! What a volley!
Hopefully linking with Giggs and the United side this season will be Lee Sharp. Sharp, a revelation back in the 1991 campaign, was restricted last season by injury. We all know what a fully fit Sharp is capable of.
3 men, in fact, came across to have a go at Wallace there. But it's still with Manchester United and Lee Sharp onto the right foot. It's another one! 3-0! A fantastic goal by Lee Sharp.
Facing United at Old Trafford is tough enough without having to get past one of the world's top goalkeepers at the moment, Peter Schmeichel. The Dane was most instrumental, of course, in his nation's victory at the recent European Championships. He's a formidable barrier for any forward in the Football League.
That's an inviting ball from McGoldrick. It was a great pass. McGoldrick weaving a spell of his own. Oh, Roger, brilliant save. The referee looked at the linesman. That has to be one of the saves of the season from Peter Schmeichel, who could scarcely have seen the ball, but somehow stuck up an arm to prevent it crossing the line.
The Rumbelows Cup provided some recompense for United last season. Brian McClare's goal against Nottingham Forest in the final handed them their first success in this competition. Captain Steve Bruce received the trophy in front of 80,000 fans in football's most famous stadium. By total contrast, United found themselves at 3rd Division Gillingham as part of their pre-season preparations. A below-strength United were actually beaten by a single goal. This was the closest they came to equalising, a header from Steve Bruce. A week earlier, a much more recognisable United side took on Celtic at Parkhead. This as part of Celtic's centenary celebrations. It was Celtic who opened the scoring through Jerry Craney. The opportunity carved out by Tommy Boyd. Craney rounding Schmeichel to slot home. But 4 minutes later, United were level. A sweet strike from Paul Ince after good work by Dennis Irwin. A draw at Parkhead, but at a cost. Their captain, Brian Robson, went off injured. Not the perfect way to go into the new campaign. Arsenal, under George Graham, are the clear title favourites for the 1992-93 season. After a poor start to the last campaign, they finished the season better than anyone. Arsenal, in fact, were the league's leading goal scorers. One of the goals of the season came from the Swedish international Anders Limpar. His classic strike against Liverpool, reviving memories of Pelé at his finest. By his standards, Limpar had a poor European championship, and he'll be hoping now to gain a more regular place in the Arsenal lineup. He'll probably benefit from the arrival at Highbury of one of Denmark's heroes, John Jensen, who was clearly looking forward to playing his football now in England.
I think I always say that England is the best league in the whole world, and it's very hard in England, so it's gonna be difficult for me the first 2-3 months, I think. But then I come back and hopefully I can play a good game.
Ian Wright must have been surprised at being left out of Graham Taylor's England squad for Sweden. Wright was the league's leading scorer last season with 29 goals. He's proved to be a vital cog in the Arsenal machine. George Graham must be awaiting then the start of the season with great relish. Many of his squad are established internationals with experience at all levels. Given a better start, Arsenal, no question, should be there at the finish. It's been a fairly extraordinary year so far for Graham Souness. Concern for his health following his heart bypass operation was matched only by the murmurings that this was the end of an era for Liverpool Football Club.
There's a lot of people going through.
Well, after only 31 days in hospital, Souness appeared at the FA Cup final, where Liverpool again reminded us you can never write them off.
And Ray Houghton starting the second half on the Liverpool left with McManaman
on the right-hand side from where he cut in. And so confused Paul Bracewell just before half-time in an incident that, if Liverpool don't win the cup, will go down into folklore. Oh, they might win it now! Michael Thomas! That's brilliant! And they try and keep Graham Souness calm on the bench, but they can give full vent to their feelings. Byrne tried to get beyond Burrows, who simply kept his eye on the ball, which is what defenders have to do when Byrne drops the shoulder. He can fool you with his body movement. Saunders. It's Thomas again, and now Rush. He rewrites the record books. And Liverpool start to experience a familiar feeling. Ian Rush scores in a third FA Cup final.
Mark Wright's joy at receiving the FA Cup must have been mixed with relief, as their victory meant qualification for Europe by the last available route. For the battles ahead, young goalkeeper David James has been bought from Watford. James seen here taking in his new surroundings. He's highly proficient at his art and will pose a threat to Bruce Grobbelaar, who perhaps feels now under pressure from the new arrival.
Well, it's up to me, really, Martin. I've got to keep the young lad out. If I start the season, then I've got to play to the best of my ability all the time. Whether or not I can keep him out for the 2 years, it remains to be seen. But he is a fine goalkeeper, and Liverpool haven't bought him just to come and sit on the bench and wait. They've bought him for the future. He's got great attributes, and I think he can be one of the best. And in saying that, he's got a lot to learn, and hopefully then I can teach him.
Souness has also spent heavily on a midfield player to replace the outgoing Ray Houghton. Paul Stewart has been recruited from Spurs, where one of his most treasured memories was scoring the winner against Liverpool. Stewart, happy to be back in the north, has quite modest ambitions.
Probably to stay in the side, for one thing. You know, I mean, you go to any other club for a lot of money, and, you know, you get at least a season where you're guaranteed a place. At Liverpool, you can go for $5 million and you're still not guaranteed to play. So, you know, I'd like to think that I can go out and earn a shirt and play well for my club, and then from there I hope things will blossom from there. But at the moment I'm more concentrating on playing well for Liverpool and keeping a shirt.
Stewart has already received the call from Graham Taylor to full international level, and in a recent B international he scored one of 3 England goals against France. Soon to follow in his footsteps, surely, will be Steve McManaman, who created a fantastic impression in his first full season for Liverpool. With Rush, Barnes and Molby all still influential, Liverpool are top 3 material. Place must have been beyond the wildest dreams of Trevor Francis. As player-manager, the ex-England international kept his side in contention right until the penultimate weekend of the season. He has a goal-scorer of admirable ability in England striker David Hirst, the man who scored 17 goals last season for Wednesday, one of those in their most outstanding victory against Manchester United.
Wednesday doing well to win it back immediately. Palmer retrieved the situation, sets Worthington going. The ball into the middle lane for Hirst's head. Absolutely brilliant. And David Hirst maintains his impressive scoring form here at Hillsborough. Oh no, that's a dreadful mistake, and it's given an equaliser to Brian McClair. I said, oh no, because Paul Warhurst just did not see the lurking menace of Brian McClair, and the United striker has brought his side level within 2 minutes of Hurst's strike. Hurst losing out to Parker, and it was a fair challenge. Oh, and here's McClair inside the area. Giggs teeing up Robson. Brian Robson can make it 2-1. He's still got a chance. Oh, and it's going into the net. What an extraordinary mess. It's 2-1 to Manchester United, and have you ever seen a sloppier goal than that? It was quite bizarre. And Giggs there, Robson on the left foot, couldn't force it through. It struck Palmer. Then it was Nielsen who diverted it back inside of the upright. A miskick by poor old Warhurst again. And McClair's tap-in makes it 2-1 to United, just 7 minutes after they'd gone behind. Corner for Sheridan to take. Wednesday have got only 3 outfield players outside the penalty area. Here is one of them, Roland Nielsen, who whacks it back in. Must be a chance here. Jensen, 2-2. And Nigel Jensen has got his first league goal since joining Wednesday from Nottingham Forest. Now it's a corner. Can Wednesday get anything from this? Yes, they can. It's 3-2, and he has done it. And Nigel Jensen, it's turning into a real birthday for him.
Carlton Palmer was one of several Wednesday players to be involved in the international scene. His strong running from midfield and keen eye for goal captured the imagination. Chris Bart-Williams will be a name to look out for over the coming months. He's already shown great potential and will look to link with Wednesday's major close-season acquisition, Chris Waddle from French champions Marseille. Waddle was very much in demand from several other clubs, but Trevor Francis eventually won the race to sign him. The ex-Newcastle and Spurs man also teams up with his former international colleague Chris Woods. Woods, of course, now England's first-choice goalkeeper. He's a part of the blend of youth and experience at Hillsborough, which will push them to the fore over the coming season. Peter Reid, the main target is European qualification. If they can improve on their poor home record this season, well, the rest had better beware.
Away by Curl. Quinn, helped on. David White, onside, clear of Gary Ablett. He scored! Quinn has found White, and White has got beyond Ablett. He's got no support, he doesn't need it. He's claiming a goal. No, says the linesman, who was very well placed. Now he's given it. Now he's given it. 2-0. David White has been awarded a second goal.
David White managed 18 goals in the last campaign, and he, like Niall Quinn, will benefit from the recent signing of winger Rick Holden. Holden, seen here scoring for Oldham, comes at a time when City have lost their young Northern Ireland international Michael Hughes to the French side Strasbourg. Top 6 again for City. Ron Atkinson and Andy Gray were perhaps the most flamboyant management team in English football. Gray now has left to pursue television commitments, while Atkinson has bolstered his squad with Ray Houghton, the Republic of Ireland international. Houghton leaving Liverpool after nearly 5 years, in which he made 153 league appearances. Houghton will be there to supply the ammunition for Dwight Yorke, a rising star from Trinidad, who's already impressed. Villa's hottest property, though, is still Tony Daly. His remarkable turn of speed will continue to frighten defences. But Villa will need more than his talents to improve on last season's showing.
Massive clearance there by Les Sealey.
Daly might get on the end of this. A fabulous goal for Tony Daly.
In Brian Clough's reign at Nottingham Forest, only one league title has been won, 14 years ago. Rumours about Clough's retirement have been rife for some time, but he's still there in charge. Forest striker Teddy Sheringham has been making the headlines for his on-off move to Spurs. Sheringham, though, remains at Forest, for the time being anyway, and it's not hard to see why they value him so highly. Now departed from the City ground, of course, is England's Des Walker, who, as expected, signed for Sampdoria. Without him, Forest can expect another mediocre season. For Sheffield United, the season seems to begin at Christmas. For 2 years running now, they've looked relegation candidates early on. But with goals like these from striker Brian Deane, United finished very respectably last season. Without the much-coveted Deane, United would be favourites to go down. Realistically, hanging on to him could be the key to retaining their Premier League status. England international Jeff Thomas now seems likely to remain at Crystal Palace. Despite a summer-long chase by Arsenal, Thomas seems content to stay at Selhurst Park. The club captain will also be happy to see the return of John Salako. This horrendous injury in Palace's opening game of last season has kept him sidelined until recently. Salako, a full England international, spent much of his rehabilitation in the United States. And proof of his return to fitness could be seen on Palace's recent tour of South Africa. Salako scoring here against Kaizer Chiefs. Salako will hope to return to the international scene for England, where he'll now find his teammate from Palace, goalkeeper Nigel Martin. After another excellent season, Martin has been promoted to number 2, behind Chris Woods. He may have a busy season ahead, but Palace are more than capable of holding on to their Premier League status. It was an encouraging first season in charge for Queen's Park Rangers manager Gerry Francis. Although in relegation danger at one time, Rangers played their way out of trouble and were the only side to defeat both the champions and the runners-up.
Bailey's gone racing into the middle. Sinton's in there too. Barker's in there. Sinton with a shot. And
Rangers are in the lead. Andy Sinton, his first league goal of the season. Well, here's Bailey, and that could so easily be another one. This is incredible. Here's Bailey again. And this time, it's in there.
Getting it into Pallister. It's Peacock up there again. It does in the end for the player. So United pull one back.
Sinton. The break is on now for Rangers. He's got Bailey up alongside him. 3 men are after him. Sinton going all the way. Can he finish it off? Bailey can! And it's number 4 for Rangers. And a hat-trick for Dennis Bailey. Curling in a good cross and nodded down beautifully by Gary Speed. Comes the corner. Forced in there by Les Ferdinand. Wilkins again. Allen's going in there. Lukic is lost for the moment. Bradley Allen. And now Rangers coming hard again. Les Ferdinand. Might come for Allen again. My goodness, there was nearly another break for him. And now Sinton with a shot! Andy Sinton! But now Leeds have more trouble at the back. That's a penalty, absolutely for sure. Sinton brought down. Well, it was a last-ditch challenge there by Chris White, and he might even be in serious trouble here. It's a red card for Chris White. Well, Clive Wilson scored from the spot on Saturday. He scores from the spot again.
Andy Sinton's performances for Rangers led to England recognition and a trip to the European finals in Sweden. Jan Stejskal, a proven international, now recognised as the Czech number 1, is a formidable last line of defence for Rangers. Stejskal is a key man in the side, and so too is 35-year-old Ray Wilkins. Rangers struggle without his experience, but as long as he's able to continue, they should maintain top-flight football. Everton won a cluster of trophies in the 80s, but in recent times have failed to impress, even with the return of Howard Kendall. Barry Horne is their only major signing of the summer, and he joins perhaps the most lightweight forward line in the Premier League. Peter Beardsley shoulders most of Everton's attacking responsibilities, but even his guile can't hide deficiencies in midfield. A greater weight will fall on Maurice Johnston, who, despite limited success, this goal against Arsenal really is yet to show his Glasgow Rangers form. Wimbledon continue to ground share at Selhurst Park with Crystal Palace. Although attendances have fallen, Wimbledon's form has improved. 13th place last season, very respectable. Their direct style still producing dividends despite all the adverse publicity. Manager Joe Kinnear has now signed striker Dean Holdsworth from First Division Brentford. 38 goals last season, he was only 1 short of the Brentford club record. It's the big time for Holdsworth, which John Fashanu, of course, is well used to by now. Even so, he makes taking penalties look ridiculously easy. With Fashanu and Holdsworth together, Wimbledon have probably secured a long-term future in the Premier League. Chelsea's most famous supporter isn't given to inconsistency in his professional life, so he must find life pretty hard going at Stamford Bridge. Don Howe, fed up with long-distance travel to Coventry, has now returned to the capital to help Chelsea become a more purposeful outfit. He's reunited with old friends of the past, the unmistakable Vinnie Jones and little winger Dennis Wise. They were both part of the Wimbledon setup when Don Howe was coach there. Despite their failings, Chelsea are capable of beating the best. Vinnie Jones scored a fabulous goal at Anfield to set Chelsea on their way to a first victory over Liverpool in 56 years. Ronnie Rosenthal equalised for Liverpool, but in the second half, Dennis Wise was allowed time to secure the victory. Cup competitions, though, may be Chelsea's best bet for honours. Terry Venables is to take a more active role in team affairs following the departure of Peter Shreeves. Doug Livermore, though, is officially team manager, and together they'll have to find a way of replacing Gary Lineker. Lineker, true to form, managed a goal on his final appearance in a Tottenham shirt. His first taste of Japanese football came in a recent friendly match for his new club, Grampus 8. Lineker was afforded a warm welcome, but spent most of the first half on the bench. Expectation reached fever pitch when he took the field just before half-time. No fairy tale start, though, Lineker taking time to settle in. Also finally on his way, Paul Gascoigne. His transfer to Lazio now complete, he can hopefully get down to the serious business. Filling the void at Tottenham is Darren Anderton, a £1.2 million signing from Portsmouth. Anderton was the pick of a very good crop of youngsters at Fratton Park, and he made a name for himself by scoring against Liverpool in the FA Cup semi-final. Also completing moves, Andy Gray and Jason Cundy, who both spent time at the end of the season on loan at White Hart Lane. This could, though, be a very tough season for Spurs. After 355 appearances and 147 goals, Kerry Dixon has left Chelsea for Southampton. Dixon spent 9 good years at Stamford Bridge, but his last one was very poor by his standards. This goal was one of only 2 in his last 29 games for Chelsea. The move will hopefully change his luck, but Dixon won't be partnering Alan Shearer. He'll look instead for support from Matt Le Tissier. The Channel Islander is one of the most gifted players in league football, but often fails to live up to expectations. But on his day, Le Tissier is exceptional. And Southampton will be looking for that quality much more often if they're to avoid relegation. Joe Royal's Oldham were the only promoted side to escape relegation last season. His team, though, have yet to gain the success that Royal enjoyed himself as a player, primarily with Everton. The burden of attacking responsibility will again fall on Graham Sharp. Hardly prolific, Sharp still represents Oldham's best chance of scoring, especially after the departure of Rick Holden, and also if injury wrecks the good intentions of Andy Ritchie. Ritchie is important to Oldham, and one hopes he's fit enough to last the season. His finishing class will be vital if Oldham are to achieve their objective of survival. Mike Walker, on the far left of your picture, took over as manager of Norwich after the surprise resignation of Dave Stringer. Stringer does, though, take a place on the board of directors. After 6 seasons of entertaining football, Stringer resigned without any real success. The final nail was this defeat by Sunderland in the FA Cup semi-final. The Sunderland goalscorer, John Byrne. The future hopes of Norwich lie with talents such as Rule Fox. And if they can keep him, Scottish international Robert Fleck is constantly surrounded in transfer talk. They can't afford to lose his quality. Coventry City just escaped relegation last season, and life will be just as hard for them this time around. This win in the Rumbelows Cup over Arsenal at least provided some cheer in a season full of struggle. Shock results are always possible, but Coventry need to string together a solid series of results. A very difficult season in prospect then for the new manager Bobby Gould. No one would begrudge John Lyall his success at Ipswich after his many years at West Ham United. And Lyall readily admits the debt he owes to John Walk, back at Portman Road now, where he made his name. Walk came from the successful Bobby Robson era, when the likes of Mariner, Brazil, Muren, Tyson and Gates weaved patterns around mesmerised opponents. Today's stars clinched promotion at Oxford United, this goal securing a 1-1 draw. The celebrations were soon underway out on the pitch and back in the dressing room too. The team completed the traditional open-top bus tour of the city when thousands turned out to salute their return to top-flight football. The role of John Walk, now playing in defence, will be crucial, especially in the early weeks of the Premier League season. Its importance emphasised by the award of the Ipswich Players' Player of the Year. John Lyall has seen it all before. He'll know survival is the first priority. Wilkinson, ex-Watford, Everton and Nottingham Forest, returns to top football in prime goal-scoring form. His goal here helping Borough to Rumbelows Cup success against Manchester City. His partner in crime up front is likely to be Bernie Slaven. Much will depend on their ability to outwit more experienced defenders. The Kenny Dalglish, Ray Harford management team knows only too well they nearly blew their chances of Premier League football. Only victory in the playoffs meant their participation in the new order. Now England international Alan Shearer has been bought from Southampton to provide the quality up front and hopefully to bridge the gap between real challengers and also rans. Stuart Ripley has been purchased to supply Shearer with the ammunition to secure Blackburn's future. Ripley can also be a threat in the penalty area. Shearer and Ripley part of a Dalglish spending spree since he's been in charge at Blackburn, which now amounts to almost £10 million. Roy Wegerle was acquired from Queen's Park Rangers. Everton released Mike Newell, who teams up with another ex-Everton player, goalkeeper Bobby Mims. And Gordon Cowans is the last of an expensive quartet which were nearly embarrassed by missing out on promotion. Blackburn spent part of their pre-season build-up in Scotland. This game against Hibernian, not one to remember for the new boys. Shearer there, slow to react. Hibs were by far the more cohesive side. This goal from Darren Jackson was their third in a 3-0 victory. Blackburn comprehensively beaten, all too much for Shearer, who was substituted. He joined Ripley, who was already back on the bench. But you underestimate Kenny Dalglish at your peril. Blackburn are a good outside bet for a European place. Now, on the subject of betting, here are the latest odds on all 22 clubs. Arsenal are the favourites, Liverpool, Manchester United and the champions Leeds not far behind. Not much hope given for the chances of Coventry, Norwich, Oldham or Wimbledon. But if you want to chance your arm, well, there are plenty of outsiders in with some chance. The favourites Arsenal are one of several clubs undergoing ground improvements in line with recommendations made in the Taylor report following the Hillsborough disaster. Although lower division clubs have now been exempt from making stadiums all-seater, Premier League clubs must still comply. Work will continue on Arsenal's North Bank throughout the season with reduced capacity. Highbury will become one of England's flagship stadiums. And other grounds undergoing redevelopment at the moment include Old Trafford, Elland Road and Anfield. A new law is to be implemented this season which will prevent this kind of embarrassment for defenders and goalkeepers. Goalkeepers are no longer allowed to handle a back pass in this manner, as Mike Hooper does from Steve Nicol. The law, ratified recently by FIFA, states that a back pass played by a defender's foot cannot be handled by the goalkeeper. But officials have found in friendly matches that players are using any other part of the anatomy to return the ball to the keeper. This really isn't within the spirit of the law, and referees have been awarding indirect free kicks for all back passes. John Lukic of Leeds demonstrates here the goalkeeper's way out. In Blackburn's friendly at Hibernian, it's made clear in this instant that no back passes will be tolerated. The referee awarding an indirect free kick. Well, what do the goalkeepers then make of this new law?
I think it's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of silly mistakes and silly goals that are going to be scored with this new rule. But I've no regret about any changes. It needed to be done because of the continental way of playing, where the back pass just slows the game down that much. So now it's going to be interesting, and the ones who think they are better than they are going to get caught.
So it all begins next Saturday, August the 15th. Our first match is where we left off the old season. We're back at Elland Road with the champions Leeds to see them begin the defence of their title. That's against Wimbledon. A mouth-watering 9 months of action in prospect, I'm sure. Stay with us and you won't miss a thing. Outstanding action last season. Take your seat again with us for much more of the same.